looking a likely winner here at Mount Panorama today at this stage. Swag of cars headed up the hill at the moment in time. I can see the Wilmington big red Jag going over the crest there, and there Bob Holden. And now Bob has been in racing an awful long time. 52 years of age, 33 years in motorsport is Robin John Holden, and he's always been a small car man. He's had some pretty good class placings here at Mount Panorama back in '65. I remember with Greg Cusack in a Morris Cooper S, and he's raced Escorts and he's raced Renaults, and now into this tiny Toyota Sprinter, and doing tremendously well. As I said before, only 4 runners in this category, all Toyota machinery, Sprinters, Levins, Corollas, and Bob Holden at the present time leading the class and in 21st position on the track outright. And now there goes Johnny Smith in car 60. That won't, or will it? Yes, I think when they get past the start-finish line again, and that's recorded on the lap charts, I think you'll find that John Smith may have just wrested the lead in the category from Bob Holden.
Well, Bob's been a great campaigner all season long, travelled the full run of the Touring Car Championship, drove everywhere himself, and as you say, he's been in motorsport for quite a number of years, and he's still as keen today as he was the day that he started. He's never lost his enthusiasm.
Underneath the crane, the bionic crane that carries our speed camera on Conrod Straight, there's a readout on Bob Holden at 223 kilometres per hour. Car 57 having just surrendered the class lead, although under brakes. I think he might be making a determined effort here to take it back from John Smith in car 60, but Smith now has got plenty up his sleeve. Takes the corner onto pit straight and past the start-finish line with 107 laps completed for the pair of them.
Up Mountain Straight again, Bob Holden, the super vet, continues on the James Hardy, still trying to wrest that class place away from Johnny Smith.
Many laps, Michael. The sidewalls aren't that thick, and that would have to be giving the driver a nervous moment, because he knows how far he can push it. But any time you see tire smoke is a bad time.
Well, they've done reasonably well in the category. Up there inside the top 12, and it might be timely now to look at the top 10, how they are on the track.
No doubt who's in front. Car number 8, Tom Walkinshaw's Jaguar, followed by car 10, the John Goss Armin Hahn Jaguar. Second place to the Brock and Oxton 05 Commodore, then car number 21, the BMW, driven by Roberto Ravalia and Johnny Cicotto. Kent Bajan and Neil Lowe next in their New Zealand entry, the BMW, car number 3, followed by Peter McLeod and Graham Bailey in car number 4, the Commodore, and then Richards and Longhurst in the black BMW. In turn, we've got car 47, Bond and Hansford in the 2.5-litre Alpha, then Johnson and Perkins in the Ford Mustang. And after 114 laps, Keogh and Rogers in car 20, the Commodore, and Bartlett and McKay in car 42, the Mitsubishi Starion.
And Robbie Francevic, the Mark Petch Turbo Volvo. Sure, there wasn't much in that. That's John Bowe at the wheel, incidentally, coming up on the BMW.
Gary Rogers at the wheel of the BMW at the present time.
Driver's always reluctant to back off on the approach to the shelf. That's the area where they need maximum acceleration, and if they have to brake to allow a little courtesy just to let another car through, then their time up the shelf is shot to pieces, and that's one area where you see a lot of close driving.
Gary Rogers partnering Jim Keogh here for the first time at Mount Panorama this year. Looks like Terry Finnegan, is it? The being given the go by their first by the Volvo and then the BMW. Finnegan in car number 40. Commodore only recently set up and immaculately set up. Finnegan is in 14th position outright on the racetrack.
John Bow skipping away, turbo boost on, and he runs away from the BMW with Gary Rogers at the wheel as we once again take our Bonnet Crane's speed cam shot along Conrod Straight. Finnegan goes by, and there is Gary Rogers in the BMW. And there's a fair indication of the gap that's been opened up by John Bow.
The BMW is in 10th position, Mike. At the present time, 115 laps covered and 6 laps down on the race leader, and they wouldn't be that far down except for a couple of mishaps. We saw them nose into the traffic up at the top of Mount Panorama at one stage and then almost in the wall at Forest Elbow, so they've had a couple of lucky escapes.
Certainly have. Well, new lease on life for John Bow. We've got the Mark Petch turbo Volvo firing extremely well, and he's absolutely sprinting up the mountain.
Still some smoke from the right-hand side of the vehicle. Something rubbing there, it would appear. Through goes the Volvo, the BMW, and two of the smaller capacity cars.
Still a little of that smoke pinching the tyre.
I think they're quite brave driving that car, Michael. They could never tell when it's likely to blow up, and the G-forces and the leaning of the body onto that tire, and wouldn't exactly want to be sitting there when it did go if it went on one of those high-speed corners.
So something about to come loose there at the right rear too. Part of the
I think it's just a little bit of the bumper bar, Gary. Nothing too worried there. I'd be worried about the rubbing of that tire on the front.
Richards BMW is in the pit.
So Tony Longhurst just talking with Jim Richards. Car being serviced very professionally by JPS Team BMW crew, and Jimmy Richards.
I can never get mine done that quick.
No, rejoins the race and still inside the top 10.
So it's a real pity that that car hit the oil and landed up in the sand, and that the marshals were a little bit slow in helping them out. Apparently the rules permitted them to help them out, but they didn't get there too quickly. And as a result, Jim's had to fight a long way back, but very creditably to 7th at the moment.
4 laps down is Jim Richards on the race leader, Tom Walkinshaw. The lead car, number 8 Jaguar, has covered 122 laps.
There's Johnny Bow stepping out, and Rob Francevic ready to step back into the Volvo 55.
Well, another car that would have been up there well and truly in the top 3 or 4 if it hadn't have been for electrical problems. It's the scourge of all electronic devices when the little black box decides to play up. In this case, it was their alternator, but nevertheless, no power, no go.
For those that need them, preparations being made for what will be hopefully final pit stops to take them to the finish of this year's James Hardie 1000. The signals are out for Peter Brock coming in, jumping the curb a little too.
That's David Oxton, I believe, coming in for
a change, for Brock to go back in the car, trying to drive a straight line through the S's of the pit entry.
Well, you know one thing, Peter's going to hound this car. He's got nothing to lose. Not interested in coming 3rd. He'll be out there to do what he can and make sure he tries to get on the same lap. 1 lap down on the lead Jag at the moment. Major importance to get the belts done up. No prizes for running around here with no seat belts on it.
Neil
Won't
Crompton.
say I've never done it.
Neil Crompton,
Yes, Gary.
how's it going there?
Pretty busy scene, as you can well see. All appears to be quite well, though. I've got the stopwatch on the guys, so we'll be able to get an idea of just how competitive they are. They have mounted all 4 tyres. There appears to be plenty of smoke and steam coming from the front of the car. The fuel load has been put in. You have to watch your back when you're standing out here. And Brock goes out in a time of 45 seconds, so there was something less than a flash stop.
Yeah, just a quick quart of Mobil to top him up and make sure that they don't have any oil surge. Much better to do it now than have to come in with, say, 10 laps to go. And I think that car now is well and truly ready for Peter to give it everything it's ever going to get. There won't be any prizes for 3rd place in his mind.
Peter Brock resumes command of the 05 Commodore and sets out in pursuit of the Jaguars in the James Hardy 1000 of 1985.
Audi continues on. It's been running strongly all day, Gary Walker.
Had a couple of pit stops in the 53 car, Michael, but he's a pretty game man to bring up the Audi to take on this sort of competition at Mount Panorama, and consistency, as Alan Moffat said before, is always the key. As long as you're up and running and you're out there, you've always got a chance, because you never know what's going to happen up in front of you. Of course, he's not a contender for outright honours in the Audi 5+5, but within his class he continues to circulate pretty steadily indeed. In fact, is in 31st position outright on the track, and that puts him in 3rd place in the category, 4th place rather, in the under 3 litre category. Let's update the last hour now of the James Hardy 1000.
Down here in the pits, it's my pleasure to introduce one of the very, very special guests for the James Hardy 1000 of 1985. I refer to the Grand Marshal for this year's event, the Honourable Gerald Lascelles. Gerald, welcome. Your impressions of the great race?
Well, I think it's one of the most exciting setups I've seen. I'm so impressed with the media coverage, particularly the magnificent blow-by-blow television views that we get of every single piece of the action. There's nothing to compare with it in Europe, you know. Absolutely not.
And of course you're wearing a big smile, especially because the Jaguars are out there in front.
Well, we'd like to think that maybe it's their lucky day today. They've had a bit of bad luck at the start, but they seem to be running very strongly at the moment. But people like Peter Brock and that very strong BMW of Bob Jane's entry, you know, they're going to take some beating even now.
Of course, you've been president of the British Racing Drivers Club for some 20 years now.
That's right.
And there's talk about making this race a round of the World Championship next year. What would be your thoughts on that?
I think it would be unforgivable if it wasn't included in that such an important championship.
Possibly an excuse for you to make another trip back to Australia?
I wouldn't say no.
We'd love to have you. Just one final question. I noticed that you're a cousin of the Queen. You're following the wrong sort of racing, aren't you?
Well, both my parents were tremendously keen on the horse racing, and the Queen takes in that same sort of line. She knows so much about it, and I wouldn't begin to start to talk to her about it. And it's nice to feel that on my subject I could probably beat her.
Well, I'm sure you've enjoyed the day as much as we've enjoyed having you here.
Well, it's been marvellous.
Okay, that's the Honourable Gerald Lascelles, who is the Grand Marshal for the James Hardy 1000 of 1985. It's back to you, Gary.
Thank you, Pat. Pat Welsh reporting from the pits there. And back on the racetrack, 05 with Peter Brock back at the wheel is in 3rd place on the racetrack. 125 laps down for him in the great race of 85. A lap in arrears of the 2nd placed car, Jaguar number 10, and a lap and a half now in arrears of the lead Jaguar car number 8, driven by Tom Walkinshaw. Well, Peter Brock is... Hello, what's here? Win Percy is out of the car. The number 8 Jag is in for a pit stop. There seems to be a problem here under the front of the car, and a lot of confusion.
It's got oil going in.
They're taking oil, and you can hear the crew shouting instructions to themselves. There doesn't seem to be any spillage on the on the circuit there in the pit lane, and you can hear us at the crew. Alan, what's happening?
I think it's a precautionary. It looks chaotic, but they're getting a bit of rubbish off the front. Could be some tire on the rubber tire shavings on the mesh.
Neil Cropland's pretty close at hand. What is it, Neil?
Gary, it's more than just a little problem. There is oil all over the car. It's all over the windscreen, underneath the bonnet of the car. And if we get down here on the ground, you can see that it's literally dripping from the front of the V12 Jag at the moment. I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody. Obviously, they'd drop kick me if I tried to. But there is definitely a problem. Walkinshaw is calmly sitting at the car at the moment, just waiting to see what's going to happen. But with now 36 laps remaining, it should not be too long before car number 10 was going to come round and what will become, I guess, an inheritance of the lead. They are continuing to pour oil into the top of the motor at the moment. Unfortunately, my technical knowledge of a V12 Jag is not what it should be. So I can't really tell you where the oil is coming from, but it's coming from somewhere forward of the V12 engine. And I think
we've lost Neil Crompton there for the moment.
We have. I think Tom Walkinshaw wants to go out. He's ready to fire the motor, and he has done just that.
They put a lot of oil in the engine. They could probably overfill it and not be too worried. Rather have it in there too much than too little. And certainly, if anybody knows how to nurse it, it'll be Tom. And he will have, on the first lap around, a lap to go sign and his plus on the field. And he'll work according to that, whether he has to nurse the car or not.
Race cam takes us out of the pits with Tom Walkinshaw. Now, this is likely to put both Tom and the second Jaguar, Johnny Goss, in car 10 on the same lap. As Tom Walkinshaw, after that dramatic pit stop, rejoins the race.
Trying to give you a close-up there on the oil gauges as well, our race cam technicians. I don't know whether Tom Walkinshaw can hear us at the moment. However, we'll give Tom a little time to settle in, not quite obviously. He would have some concern because everything has been going so perfectly. And how does that affect a driver when everything is just going so super, and then all of a sudden you're in the pits and you've got oil pouring out of the car everywhere, or a similar dilemma?
Do you remember your first inoculation? It gives you a jolt.
Cold
it really
sweat.
does. A cold sweat, Gary, you said it. You feel, oh, the flag is going down, the sponsors are going down, and you just feel, oh, hell. And it's a sicky feeling, but give him a couple of laps. He's not in desperate straits yet. They didn't panic at the pit stop. And if it was using oil, it's just consuming it, perhaps, hopefully, out the exhaust pipe.
Let's take a look at what this does to the race. We now have 4 cars on the one lap at the head of the race. Car 8, Jaguar. Car 10, Jaguar. Car 5, Commodore. Car 21, BMW. In fact, it's the car 10 Jaguar which is in the lead in the race right now. Walkinshaw, second place. Brock, third. Ravalia in fourth spot. So it really has changed things dramatically, because Walkinshaw was a good lap and a half, nearly 2 laps ahead of the field before that drama that brought him into the pits. Tom Walkinshaw, that has brought about a dramatic change in your position. You're confident you can see it out to the end of the race?
Well, I certainly hope so. We had an oil line come adrift and started to leak oil, but I think they fixed it, got oil back in it, so.
Tom, it doesn't seem to worry you that much. You seem to, I won't say it worries you, but you seem so calm under the circumstances.
There's no point in throwing a hairy fit.
It certainly made the competition a lot closer now at the end of the race, Tom, because yourself, Johnny Goss up ahead of you, and you've got both Peter Brock and the Chicotto BMW right behind you.
Yeah. I can't hear you very well because I don't know why, but I'm not picking up a lot of static on your transmissions.
All right, Tom, we'll let you get back to the race and we won't annoy you. We'll let you...
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
A man with a big task on his hands now, Tom Walkinshaw, but still with a ton of confidence. Second place now on the track for this car, which has led the James Hardie for so long today. Moving towards an exciting finish in the James Hardie 1000 of 1985. Will it be Jaguar at the finish?
Well, I'm sorry, fellas, but apparently I had a radio mic problem before and I couldn't complete the report, but I have with me at the moment Win Percy. Win, what was the problem with the car?
Well, we had an oil light flashing on all the fast bends at the top of the hill, so it was a case of back off, get the pressure back up, and come on down the straight. We had a problem with the radio in the car anyway, so I couldn't communicate with the pit. So I literally had to physically let them know I was coming in to prepare them.
I know that the Ron Dixon car had some oil surge problems during the week. Do you think this could be related to that?
I don't know. I'm very surprised, to be honest. It doesn't seem to have lost that much, although there is a slight leak there. Tom's gone out again now to hopefully finish. Very disappointing. It was going so well.
I noticed the board was hung out a few moments ago to keep the car out there, so I guess the plan is to continue on, and I notice behind us at the moment that Armin Hahn is into the pits, so it's going to be a real nip and tuck race between you fellows right through till the end.
It looks good.
Thank you. We'll talk to you later, Win. So the other car is now in the pits. I haven't had a chance to start the stopwatch, but John Goss is now getting into the car. We can see just how delicately the seat has been strapped into the vehicle. There are rather enormous cable ties that are stringing the seat to the roll bar. 4 new slick tyres have been fitted. These are the special Dunlop slick tyres, which when flat can be run on a racing circuit. The car has been fired up once again. And Gossie leaves the pits in a time, I should think, of around about 40 to 45 seconds. Back to you, Wilco.
Thanks very much, Neil. Well, this just makes it wide open now at the head of the race between the Jaguar teammates, Tom Walkinshaw and John Goss. In fact, that pit stop will put Walkinshaw back in the lead, only narrowly, from John Goss. 0-5, Peter Brock.
And a broken windscreen now for Peter Brock, and if he hasn't got enough problems today.
That'll be murder to see through that, and on the sunlight coming up pit straight. Turning left might not be so bad going up Mountain Straight, but across the top, all the refractions that'll be going through there, that's a tough job. You can see him bending and ducking his head more than normally, trying to pick a spot. He looks like he's got the worst of the bombshell right in front of him.
McLeod.
That picture tells everything.
They've been running as high as 5th place in the race, 7th on the track until this moment. But Peter McLeod and Graham Bailey in the Illawarra Mutual Building Society entry, after running such a great race here at Mount Panorama today, are obviously out of business as well.
That's too bad.
The dramas are coming thick and fast in the latter stages of the great race of 85, with 33 laps remaining.
Well, it's the voodoo hour, 3:15, 3:30. This happens so many times, and teams have been looking good and getting towards that less than last quarter. Like a lot of football teams, they get tired in the last quarter.
In the midst of all this drama, the Bob Jane T-Mart's BMW has made a pit stop and is back on the track and has not lost any ground at all because of the dramas affecting the others, so they're still running solidly in 4th place and poised right behind the leading division. .05, Peter Brock under difficulties across the top of Mount Panorama, but Brock is used to difficulties. He's used to conquering them. Neil Crompton takes a look at Peter Brock, the man, the driver, the businessman.
The peace and tranquility here is a far cry from the 160-mile-an-hour lifestyle that he lives. This is the Peter Brock personal retreat, the retreat from the responsibility of being Australia's leading touring car driver for over 15 years and rapidly becoming one of the country's leading business heroes. But this year for the James Hardie 1000, it's pressure that Brock has to deal with. Never before in the history of the race has Brock had to defend his 8 crowns with such vigour. Nobody has ever mounted such an expensive logistical challenge to the Brock supremacy. For the boy from Hurstbridge, bringing the family to the peaceful outer Melbourne suburb of Eltham was history repeating itself. It was back to the old stamping ground where Peter grew up, a place where he's thrashed a few paddock bombs and just on 20 years ago built a Holden-powered Austin A30, launching his career. But does he get time to see Bev and the three children, Jamie, Alexandra and Robert?
It's a nice, relaxing part of your life, of course, to get away from the hustle and bustle of business. And being with the family certainly keeps my perspective of things a little bit better than what would be normally.
It's a fast lifestyle. How on earth do you relax?
Yeah, I'm just one of those people that seem to be able to do 3 or 4 things at once, and it doesn't seem to worry me too much. Relaxing is, I suppose it's probably more difficult if you, with the sort of lifestyle I have, than it would be for normal people. But what I consider relaxation to other people is probably not relaxing. To me, rushing off for a holiday or a few days swimming and fishing or whatever is relaxing. But if people saw me doing it, they'd say, well, hang on, you're still fishing at 100 miles an hour. But to me, a change of pace or a change of environment is fine.
In spite of a tough year and what appears to be a number of knockers now coming out of the woodwork, the Empire continues to boom. But does the anti-Brock feeling interfere with the racing and marketing strategies, and more particularly, does that affect you personally?
Well, sometimes it does get you down a little bit. I think that probably it's not healthy to dwell on that aspect of things, and I've never been a person to, I mean, I might voice or I might feel it occasionally, but I've tried to overcome that. And all I can say to that is that I believe that eventually that we'll have a product and a motor racing car that's just going to sort of sit them back on the heels a bit. So I suppose if you say what my reaction is, it's a great challenge.
Love him or hate him, he's never too far away from us all. His high public profile keeps him in constant demand, but business aside, he's happiest behind the wheel of a car. You really live for this time of the year, don't you? You love Bathurst.
I do. I do. That bit of mountain up there is without any doubt the most exciting piece of road in the country, and the challenge of the race, and simply the, I don't know, it's just got nice energy, that place. You drive in there and you think, this looks great. You drive around that corner, you see all those transporters there all pulled up. Yeah, it's a magnificent time of year and a magnificent place.
It's even tougher this year. I don't think there's ever been a year where so many people have mounted such a strong financial and logistical challenge against Peter Brock to knock him off the top.
Yeah. Well, I think no doubt that Jaguar effort from Tom Walkinshaw's team, a team which I've observed, seen his workshops, he's good. And we've made an extra effort to try and counteract that, to try and combat it, so that in fact we're at least as competitive, and I think as well set up logistically. And yeah, there's a lot of effort this year from BMW, for instance, to see us knocked from our perch, and that's a challenge we're responding to, and I think we can do the job.
Do the job, Peter Brock. Had a great adversity here today at Mount Panorama, but as that story unfolded, what more appropriate time to see Brock in for a very fast pit stop. The windscreen is now out, and he's back on the racetrack again.
Goodness me, things are happening thick and fast still. 57 is in the pits, Bob Holden. By the way, he is still the Class A leader and has nearly a lap on John Smith in second place in that category, not the other way around. It is 57, Bob Holden, the leader in the under 2 litre category.
Walkinshaw is in the pits. Neil Crompton is down there checking out the action.
Yes, Mike, Neil down here. It's all happening here at the moment. I've got people climbing all over the place. One of the crew is with me. Alan, what's happening?
It looks like an oil cooler's gone and leaking.
So the oil cooler has disintegrated. At the present time, there's oil pouring out from the front of the car. The bonnet is covered in oil. The windscreen is covered in oil. I can tell you something else that's happening as well. There's been a flag given to Peter Brock by the clerk, of course, to say that he must report to the pits, because if you remove your windscreen in Australian touring car racing, you must remove the rear window as well. So another stop is imminent for Peter Brock. You can see what they've got to do two inside there at the moment. The engine sounds dreadful. I would say that the race is run for Tom Walkinshaw.
Well, that indeed is a pity. You're a fellow who has put it all together so well.
It's worth a try. Brock's got to come in and fix this wing for me.
You can hear all the extraneous chat going on.
They're panicking a little bit, but nevertheless, why wouldn't you with the effort that's gone into it? But I think they're in a lot of trouble if it's, as Neil says, a broken oil cooler. That means it's pressurized by the engine oil pumps and will just keep squirting out, and if nothing else, they'll run out of oil. But at the level that he was dropping oil, he was black flag material anyway, and now we have officialdom coming to the fore and informing us that Peter Brock has to return for his back window to be taken out.
Well, Brock hasn't taken heed of that because he's just gone past our commentary position on the start-finish line to take in another lap.
Those black flags are awfully hard to see in the sunlight.
Still working frantically on the Walkinshaw car. You may have overheard one of the crewmen say it's worth a try because Brock also has to come in.
Yes, they may be able to short-circuit the oil cooler. This is what the Dick Johnson team did earlier. Easier said than done. It's a plumbing nightmare on most of these cars, and with the big V12 engine taking up so much of the under-bonnet area, these fellows are getting their arms burnt. They've got steam going everywhere off the radiator.
On the racetrack at the moment, with Brock still out there, he is about 50 seconds in arrears of John Goss, who again is the race leader, but we now understand that Brock will come in next time round to have that window removed.
Well, every car is on the same lap at the moment, 134 laps down, the first 4 cars, with this seesaw battle going on in the pits.
Well, I think we can deduct one from the total there for Walkinshaw. That puts him behind the 8 ball, and that would put Goss, Brock and Ravalia all on the lead lap, but Brock yet to stop again.
You'll see an awfully fast rear window come out of a Commodore. I would say it'll be about 2 feet loads. There's some person's going to go in. There's no passenger seat, and I can just see one of those agile HDT team fellows jumping in there and going
both kaboom. Pop out the back. Lock up, and here comes Jim Richards. Oh, the rear wheel.
He's popped a tyre too. You can see him coming in. It's shredded. So drama upon drama, as Alan indicated, when you get to this peculiar time of the day in this special 1000k race at Bathurst, the dramas that unfold. JPS crew very quickly on the side, or the crumpled side of their 635. They're coming in now with Tony Longhurst helping as well. We're also keeping an eye on the Brock team.
Brock has just come into the pit lane, so he'll be here in a moment. Yes, here he is, going flat out.
He's taking the pit lane.
And the curbs.
Oh, they've got the Grice cars gone into strife up in GTX Pen by the look of it.
Decided to have a brake fade.
Okay, it's all happening, as you can see. Watch the team go to work. This is where he takes on some passengers just for a moment.
Boom.
Boom. Goodbye, Pete. Super kick.
Close the door and away he goes.
Well, the Collingwood supporters will give him full marks. That team is
quickest pit stop of all time. No tires, no fuel, no windows.
That's one for the record books. Bill Tuckey will be busy getting his notes ready for his annual
yes, it only takes
recoup.
Only 11 and a half months. Okay, John Harvey looks delighted. They're all treating us as a bit of fun. It's the old Aussie way, I guess, of when faced with a problem, put the crew in the car.
Okay, let's just recap for you. On the racetrack, John Goss, Jaguar number 10, is the race leader. 05, Peter Brock in second place. They're both on lap 135, as is the third place getter, car 21, the BMW, the Bob Jane T-Mart's entry, driven by Roberto Ravalia. A lap down then is Tom Walkinshaw after all those oil troubles in the number 8 Jaguar. And Jim Richards in trouble, having made one pit stop just now for a tyre change, a wheel change, is in some further bother out on the track, and several laps down now on the race lead.
Also having a spot of bother trying to pick up the 21 Bob Jane T-Mart's entry, Roberto Ravalia and Johnny Cicotto. So everything has happened within the last 10 minutes of this race.
25 laps to go, and on the same lap, Gossi will be monitoring like crazy the Holden pit boards, plus his own, and Peter will know exactly how far to go.
We saw Alan Grice's number 6 car, the Kmart's car, off at the top of the mountain. This is how it happened. The boot is up, sprung by a crunch on the wall, and he steers it neatly through the gateway.
Excellent timing.
Standing by in the pit area with John Harvey is Neil Crompton. Thanks very much, Mike Raymond. Well, I'm busier than a one-armed bricklayer in Beirut here at the moment. I've got so many blokes running around. John Harvey, you guys have got to be the best rear window smashers in the business.
Well, that's true. The windscreen cracked, and we brought Peter in to remove that for safety reasons. Also gave Peter my helmet, which has a full visor and also is tinted. And then off he went. The clerk of the course then informed me that apparently it's in the regulations that if the front windscreen is removed, that we must remove the rear. Now, unfortunately for them, they're a little bit behind the times because the tests have been conducted by GM at Lang Lang Proving Ground, and it would have been quite safe to leave the rear window in the car. But however, that's the regulations. They threatened to black flag the car, which I guess they did. And so we're up and away again now.
Have you ever seen a James Hardy like this one?
No, I don't think so, no.
Amazing, isn't it?
It is.
We'll let you get back to it. Whilst Peter was in the pits, Jim Richards came in as well, and you saw that. That stop was 28 seconds. Incidentally, the Brock stop, 7.5 seconds. Back to you, Mike.
Well, it's obviously quicker to change the rear screen, but there are real problems for the JRA number 8 Jaguar driven by Tom Walkinshaw. They've apparently affected their repairs. Now they're adding oil to the engine. So the car on the leaderboard has dropped down now to 4th. Gary?
Yes, and up the head of the field, Johnny Goss still in car 10. Jaguar leads from 21. Ravalia in the BMW, and third now is 05 Peter Brock, and the gap from the leader, John Goss, to the third place getter, Peter Brock, is 1 minute and 11 seconds. And with
a minute a lap.
Yeah.
Second a lap.
Second a lap, and that's not impossible with unexpected pit stops and all sorts of dramas happening on the racetrack.
They continue to add
quarts and quarts of oil.
Have they put a sump plug on it, or is it all out on the floor?
Well,
they're travelling with less dramas in the lower categories, and John Smith is now the class leader in category A under 2 litres, having passed Bob Holden, and the leader in category B and 8th position outright is held by Colin Bond in the Alpha car 47. Bob Holden, by the way, is out of the race. Just a few moments ago, there he is. Across the track goes Bob, and his Bill Buckle Toyota is parked a little up Mountain Straight, and unfortunately Bob has run his race, and that leaves Johnny Smith in car 60, the Toyota Corolla, a clear leader in the under 2 litre category.
Might be timely to look at the top 10, how they're running in this Wheel of Fortune. James Hardy, 1,000.
Number 10, Johnny Goss, Jaguar, has the lead as the laps wind down. Second placing to Chicotto and Ravalia in car 21, followed by 05, the Commodore of Peter Brock and David Oxton. Next up, Walkinshaw and Percy in the second Jag, number 8, but doing it hard from Richards and Longhurst in BMW number 1 and Bagent and Lowe, BMW number 3, followed by Jim Keogh and Gary Rogers in the Commodore number 20. Positions 8 to 10 after 133 laps. Bond and Hansford in the Alpha, Johnson and Perkins in the Mustang, and Bartlett and McKay in the Mitsubishi Starion.
And we noticed smoke was pouring off the tyres a couple of laps ago of Dick Johnson. Just getting the go by from Peter Brock as they head up to GTX Bend.
Well, Peter will have the benefit of fresher tyres. There's a little overflow coming out of the back. I'm guessing exactly what that would have been. Could have been a little bit of diff surge, oil in the diff. The breather could be on that. Should be on the right-hand side of the car, although it's got me. I can't guess that one. But doesn't seem to be slowing them down too much. But Brocky in front of this pair, giving it plenty. He knows he might just be able to wear John Goss down.
The crowds at the top of the mountain, if they've wandered away at some stage through the day, are being drawn back now like iron filings to a magnet as the race unwinds, with with 25 laps to go. Yes. Anything is possible.
It's not just the fact that a car is in front. It's the worry that the driver starts imagining that he's got someone hounding him down, and that can detract from your ability to stay in front, even if mechanically you are superior. Here's the Johnson Mustang on Conrad, taking it a little bit easy. You can hear probably just holding it around the 6.2 mark. Would have qualified it between 6.5 and 6.8, but keeping his engine under control. He wants to finish, and he's going to do that.
Dickie Johnson coming back up through the field again, Dick.
Oh, I don't know about that, mate. I'm as deaf as a beetle at the moment because I can't hear a thing. One of my earplugs has fallen out when I got in the car. And this thing's so damn noisy, I'll be as deaf as a beetle before long.
Well, there's been some dramas up the front of the field with Tom Walkinshaw and putting as much oil as they could lay their hands into it. Now he has dropped back to about 5th spot, and at one stage there, I don't suppose you would have given yourself a chance of a top 10 finish, but you're well and truly in there.
Well, mate, I don't know, there's still 20-odd laps to go, or 30 laps to go, but the trouble is, I couldn't pass a cup of tea in a straight line. Honestly, she wouldn't pull the skin off a rice pudding.
Your engine getting a little hot, Dick, or what's the problem?
Well, I don't know, Alan, I'll just have to battle on with what I got, mate. Out of here's the worst, mate. I tell you what, I could run faster out of here.
Well, stay with it, because the way the people are going in front of you, there's every chance you could...
We'll stick with it, see how we go, because I'm sorry, boys, I can't hear you too well.
Dick, I don't want to give you another handicap, but you're carrying my money, son, so hang in there.
Thanks, mate.
So Dick Johnson continues on his quest to come up the ladder in the James Hardy for 1985. The number 10 Jag, of course driven by Johnny Goss, is the race leader, and Dick Johnson, car number 17, still soldiers on. Placed second, of course, on the road behind the Jag at the moment. Car number 21, the Bob Jane T-Mart's BMW, the one driven by Roberto Ravaglia, and of course Johnny Cicotto.
Like the gap first to third, John Goss to Peter Brock is 1 minute and 4 seconds, and we're just waiting on the BMW to make its appearance, the Bob Jane T-Mart's car, so we can get the split first to second. Just coming now down Conrad, I think, in front of Dick Johnson, so we'll pick him up shortly and run the clock across him to find out what the split is between race leader John Goss and car 21, the Roberto Ravaglia BMW, and in fact it is 50 seconds. So Goss to Ravaglia, 50 seconds. Goss to Peter Brock, 1 minute 04.
Well, the placing of Roberto Ravaglia at this stage must be pleasing Greg Siddle, who put this whole thing together for the two Europeans to come to Australia for the great race, and he's in the pits at the moment.
The man who's got a smile on his face is the man who has inherited second position in this race. Greg Siddle, the man responsible for putting together the BMW, the Schnitzer deal with Bob Jane T-Mart's. He must be a very happy man.
Very happy, Neil. We're assumed nearly for a week now, not only myself but everyone, about the Jaguars finishing this race, and it looks like there's 2 out and hopefully 1 to go. We're running second, so let's hope that one falls out as well.
You're running second, you're catching the leader at a rate of 3 seconds a lap, and you're only 52 seconds behind, and there are 25 laps remaining.
Yes, at that rate, I think in a quick calculation we'll catch him.
I think you're fine. I'll let you get back to it.
Okay, you bet.
Here is the man that they're talking about, the combo of Roberto Ravaglia.
They've got to keep their eye on the rearview mirror, Mike, because Peter Brock is gaining on them. The gap, John Goss back to Peter Brock in third, is now 58 seconds. That means that Ravaglia is only about 8 to 10 seconds in front of Peter Brock.
Well, no driver ever needs too much incentive to do well, but when you can smell the car in front of you faltering and you're in second spot in a position to win a race like this, you're trying, and that's what we're seeing here. Little brake lockups as the weight transfer from one side to the other takes place, and he will be giving this little BMW every RPM it'll take.
There are now 2 under 3-litre cars in the top 10 on the racetrack. Car 47, Colin Bond in the Alpha, is in 8th position outright and leads that class. And car 42, the Mitsubishi Starion of Kevin Bartlett, 2nd in the class, 10th outright.
Roberto Ravaglia and, of course, Johnny Cicotto in car number 21 continue their march towards the leading Jaguar. Car number 10, that's the John Goss, Armin Hahn entry. As they come through the corner, and it's Ravaglia again, logging one more lap and trying to pull back that long gap over not only Johnny Goss, but protect his second place over Brock.
The Cats are looking a little bit draggled, but one of the big Jags is still up front in the James Hardy 1000.
Well, if there was ever the worries of the world on Johnny Goss's shoulder, this is it. 10-4 at Mount Panorama. He'll be worrying about plenty. I hope he's driving hard enough that he's not thinking about anything, to tell you the truth.
He'd probably feel at home now if it rained.
No, he wouldn't.
John Goss, of course, winner here in 1974 in a torrential downpour.
I remember it well. He's doing a good job, but he'll have a lot of pressure on him. He knows it's this one or none. And that's not a fun position to be in. It only takes one little mistake. But fortunately, he's driving coolly.
Being dogged by Kevin Bartlett in the Mitsubishi Starion, the Rally Arts entry as they hit the top of Conrad, but not for long, because Gossi will move away from him with long strides now.
He'll shift her up into 5th gear and take her down 260, was it? We saw them?
263, 264 as near as you can get.
With the lighter fuel loads, they'll be going faster and faster. And I would think at this stage, being a little nervous, knowing he has got 2 contenders right on his tail, he'll be using the RPM if the gauges are looking good. I don't think these engines have been strained all day. And if he has to push it a bit, now's the time to do it.
Well, 11 years between, they call Bathurst drinks, but Johnny Goss in car number 10, reeling off the final laps of the 85 grade race.
20 laps, in fact, remaining.
That's still a long way to go at Mount Panorama.
With the problems we've seen unfolding, for sure. Here he comes up to Castro Corner. They drift through XL and up the shelf.
Well, BMW of Jim Richards, after all that trouble earlier, has climbed its way back to 4th place, almost a repeat of Sandown. So I would think that that would almost put a smile on the face of Frank Gardner. Let's find out with Neil Crompton.
I think it might just about. Frank, Mike wants to know whether or not you might have a smile on your face. You've come up to 4th place after being, well, virtually out of contention.
Well, I had a smile on my face when we were leading, and I've lost it for a few hours. But it's
coming back.
It's nice to be back at least on the leaderboard. Anyway, it's we didn't appear for about 4 hours, but it's a bit worrying to be. But the car's gone well, really.
Marvellous how the wheel turns in motor racing, is it not?
Well, Group A is unbelievably competitive, as Jaguars and BMs and Volvos and everybody have had one hell of a day. I mean, we've all lost numbers. And it's no exception with our team. We lost both cars into the sand at one stage, and you can't do that, can you?
I don't think so. Drawing any conclusions as to the outcome at the end of the race?
Well, it looks like the Jag will win it, but Brock and the Ravaglia BMW are piling on an awful lot of pressure in the late stage, and we still have a motor race up till the last. It will be the final few laps before the pattern will emerge, and that's what Group A is all about. At least people are being entertained. It's no longer a procession.
Thank you very much. Well, there you go, Mike. He's almost cracked a smile. Back to you.
I don't believe it at all. Well, I tell you what, it might take a little smile off their faces next year when the Brockmobiles get out in February. I think, Alan,
yes.
The Jags and, of course, BMWs and a couple of others that might just feel the pinch.
A lot of people will be very encouraged by the fact that the Jags are not invincible. It's demoralizing to put a team together and come to the mountain and hardly be able to qualify. Peter Brock was in 10th position. It's been a lot of years since he's ever been that far back. But to know that next year is bringing a few more goodies and a better chance. Every team works on a 365-day cycle from Bathurst to Bathurst. So there'll be a lot of notes go into the computer tomorrow morning. And certainly that new Commodore is one of them.
For those New South Wales TAB punters, the tab operating for the first time on the James Hardie 1000 this year. If in your trifecta you've coupled 10, 21 and 5, I bet you've got a pretty fierce grip on the edge of your seat right now.
I would think so. And particularly those who are following the fortunes of Roberto Ravaglia in car number 21. The gap opened at 52.10 seconds some time back, and he's been able to pull that back on John Goss to 43.81 seconds. So he is gaining. He'll need to pick it up by at least, well, 1.7 a lap for a photo finish. And I don't think John Goss needs that.
And Peter Brock is not all that far astern. In fact, about 200, 300 metres astern of the Ravaglia car.
20 laps around here is enough to unnerve the best of drivers, and certainly the heat is being put on John Goss. At what stage he's prepared to go for broke is yet to be seen.
Dick Johnson also continues to eat up the competitors just outside of the top group, has bypassed Colin Bond in the Alpha and is now up to 8th spot outright, but 4 laps adrift of the race lead.
That's phenomenal. With their very bad luck in the beginning laps, the oil cooler was bad luck. I think the wheel change would have to go under the heading of bad management. You can put up with a little bit of bad management, but you can't put up with too much bad luck.
So BMW and Mustang both, Jim Richards and Dick Johnson, have got sad tales to tell today because they're returning mighty performances so far, considering the difficulties that they've had.
Yes, that's for sure.
Because Jaguar haven't had it all their own way. Started out with 3, lost one early, highballing in front with the team leader Tom Walkinshaw. Severe oil problems has put him down the list to number 6, and I guess you could call it the 3rd car in the team. John Goss at the wheel is now the race leader.
Well, it's awfully handy when you can afford the luxury of having 3 cars in the field, Gary. There are some that when they go out, they are out. Unfortunately, the phenomenal expense of doing and entering 3 cars is reserved for the lucky few.
John Goss has completed 145 laps. The Ravaglia Bob Jane car is about to cross the start-finish line, also to clock over 145.
Sounding good. That Schnitzer BMW engine. Schnitzer, the German company contracted by BMW to do their touring car program, as the factory are very busy with Formula 1.
John Goss holding the gap now on Ravaglia by 44 seconds.
20 laps to go. 18 laps to go.
18 laps to go. And occasionally we catch glimpses of Peter Brock just back down the track from the Bob Jane car.
Yes, well, Peter knows that he's got to be there if there's a weakening of the XJS. He wants to be right there, and to do that he has to unlap or catch the Bob Jane car. Once he gets on his tail, I think that would be relatively easy. But it's interesting that 6 versus 8 versus 12, and they're all circulating within the cooey of one another's lap times. Brock is hounding it. You can push it through that corner. The dab of the brakes onto McPhillamy. Through here, giving it everything, using all the road.
Peter Brock, of course, driving without front and rear windows.
Shouldn't be too hot in that car this afternoon.
Debris on the track cracked the front window, and then he was called in by clerk of the course to remove the rear window as stipulated under the regulations. He's donned a full face mask to offset the effects of that and is in third place on the racetrack. Let's update the last hour of the James Hardie 1000. Approaching the final half hour of the 1985 James Hardie 1000, and down Conrod Straight we see number 3 BMW with Neil Lowe at the wheel, and he's in a good position, but the leader is still John Goss in the 10 Jaguar. Second and third positions, Chicotto in second place in the 21 BMW, and Peter Brock in 05 the Commodore. Fourth to sixth on 143 laps, we've got the Vagent Lowe BMW, the Richards Longhurst BMW, Walkinshaw and Percy in the number 8 Jaguar. Position 7 and 9 after 142 laps, Keogh and Rogers in the BMW, Johnson and Perkins in the Mustang, Bond and Hansford in the Alpha. And rounding out the top 10 at this stage on 141 laps, the Mitsubishi Starion car 42 of Kevin Bartlett and Peter McKay. But it's still Jaguar leading the race at this stage. Kent Vagent and Neil Lowe. And they're holding down 5th place on the racetrack. But
lower driver to be concentrating on passing the ones in front of him, worrying about the ones that he's just got by. But he's definitely got Revalia in sight, and it'll only be a couple of laps. Whether he can take back the lead Jaguar is questionable.
Here's a bare 2.5 seconds now between Revalia and Brock, and only 37 seconds between Goss and Revalia, so it's closing right up at the head of the field.
There's a possibility.
Yes. Well, the gaps between first to second to third, we've already been giving you throughout the day, but that's a 2-second break.
14 laps to go. Anything can happen.
Here comes the 21 car, followed by Brock with a couple of vehicles between them, including Jimmy Richards. Brock looking for a way through. There's the orange BMW, whips into Mountain Straight. Brock's got by and is now out in hot pursuit.
He's not fooling around. No. He took some chances there under brakes, and I think Jim gave him a little bit of courtesy there. Decent driver, as he's always been. No prizes for holding somebody up that's lapping you. But Peter's definitely got this BMW in his sights.
There's our chart showing number 10, 21 and 5 all running on the same lap. Back behind them, down, Jim Richards in number 1, and then of course Tom Walkinshaw, who led this race for so long, back to the 145 mark. So it's even Stevens at the front of the field, 2 seconds from first to second, 2 seconds from second to third, and they're closing up all the time.
Boy, the pace is getting frantic. The gaps are closing all the time. This is a real panorama drama.
Well, Bob Jane's a pretty good showman. But I tell you what, he'll need Roberto Revalia to pick up 3 seconds a lap, and then it'll be a dead heat.
The mountain crowd are cheering Peter Brock along, and he's cheering himself along there. The grip of the Pirelli tires there, and under brakes, whipping him around. He's not fooling around. Very fit. Peter's mentally ready for this race. I think he practices for it every day. And when it gets here, it's no chore for him.
Here's the Brock crew. They're all sitting there staring. They want their boy. And he is closing on Roberto Revalia. And here he comes from behind. No front windscreen, no rear windscreen. Air-conditioned mountain racing for Peter Brock as he storms down the outside. And the Brock crew are quite elated. Peter Brock now moving up on the scoreboard and takes Roberto Revalia. He now moves to second. Revalia is coming back, though, on the inside. But Brock goes through. He's up to second.
Good brakes on these Commodores, and Peter not afraid to use them. Here's Jim coming up to say, I've got a BMW as well.
Guess who's lurking in the background with the headlights blaring? JRA Jaguar. That's Tom Walkinshaw trying to pull back. He's down about 2 3/4 laps on the leading car. But obviously everything's working well for him.
Michael, by the clock, there is exactly the length of Conrod Straight between the leader, John Goss, and 05, Peter Brock.
Okay, and there's going to be another Jag in between the lead one and the Commodore before long. I think we'll have a little interference play here.
Coming up into GTX, it was almost detected a wisp of something out of Brock's car. So it was just leaving a slight trail rather than put the knock on the poor guy, who's done a hell of a job here today. We'll just follow that.
I think at the pace he's running, Mike, it's a little bit of body roll. Could be just touching the tire and a flash of smoke coming off. He's definitely moving it. These are occasions where the race driver takes on 85% of the total proportion. Normally, when all other things are equal, the show is 85% and the driver's 15. But at this stage, Peter's doing 85, and we'll just let the GM product carry 15% of the weight.
What would the mental strain be like on John Goss if he's being hauled in now by Peter Brock?
Well, he'll be stuttering a little bit to himself, but he's got to concentrate on the laps ahead. And on occasions like this, when it ever happened, and I was in a fortunate situation to be in the front of a major race, the thing that kept me cool was to concentrate on my lap board and not pay any attention and not dare look in the rearview mirror. If the moment you see your opposition, it's like a praying mantis, you just fold up.
Here comes Walkinshaw.
Here's a praying mantis.
Brock breaks into the corner. Walkinshaw hot on his heels.
Yes, Tom would like to get up there and place himself between Peter and John, and it'll be an awfully wide pair of Jaguars that the mobile car would have to get by.
The Rivalia BMW 21 dropping off the pace as Brock drives hard up Mountain Straight in a bid to stall off the challenge, but no, Walkinshaw whips by, and it's 35.5 seconds between first and second.
Well, it only needs Tom to just ease up the pressure just a little bit. And
I doubt whether he would do that, Mike. He's a gentleman and a true sportsman, but he would like to get his car up there alongside and just make sure that John knows he has to keep the number 10 car going. You can see the legs of the Jag there, and quite honestly, I think Gossie would have to have bad luck not to be able to hold off Peter Brock at this stage.
Johnny Goss leads the great race, but stalking him is the king of the mountain, Peter Brock. Panorama, Peter Brock continues to chase the race leader, Johnny Goss. He's got that gap down to 35.5 seconds.
Michael, apparently Goss is having awful trouble with that seat that's been loose for a large part of the race now, the number 10 Jaguar. And it's occupying so much of his time to try and maintain his position in the car. That's probably why this gap is being eaten up by Peter Brock.
Well, that due respect to Gossie's problems, that would be a real nervy thing to have. We've heard the phrase driving by the seat of your pants, and when those seats are bolted literally to the floor, there's no cushion in them, and we do get our guidance through our backsides. And to have the seat shifting around would not be pleasant at all.
Well, at those forces, you've got to be able to brace yourself tight against the seat.
Exactly.
If you can't do that, you're in trouble.
Nevertheless, that it won't be deterring Peter Brock. He still sees the checkered flag, or would like to see it. And not backing off for 1 second. Cars will be moving a lot faster on their lower tanks. fuel load being used up. Just 10 laps to go. So handling will be on the improve.
That's the scene as the sun begins to sink and the cars wend their way across the top of the mountain, and we check the official top 10 with 10 laps remaining in the James Hardy 1000. The lead lap, car 10, Goss and Hahn in the BMW, Oxton and Brock in 05, the Commodore, Chicotto and Ravalia in car 21, the BMW. On 150 laps, car 8, Walkinshaw and Percy, Jaguar. Car 1, Richards and Longhurst, BMW. Position 6 to 7 on 149 laps. Car 3, Bajent and Lowe, the BMW. Car 20, a BMW, Keogh and Rogers. Positions 8 to 9, 148 laps, Johnson and Perkins in the Mustang, and 47, Bond and Hansford in the Alpha. Final position in the top 10 with 147 laps counted. Car 42, the Starion of Bartlett and McKay.
And they've done exceptionally well. Let's go down to the pits now to Neil Crompton.
Thank you very much, Mike Raymond. Well, it's all happening down here, as I said before. I've just been speaking to the people at the TWR team, and they're saying that all is not necessarily well in the Goss camp. He said the racing seat in the car has completely broken away. It's floating around anything up to 1.5 feet. He's moving all over the car. His visor keeps falling down, so he can't see where he's going. I mean, what else could go wrong? I don't know who wrote the script of this, but it's a beauty. Back to you, Mike.
Well, I think it was Steven Spielberg. Because if that is the case, and one can only feel sorry for Johnny Goss, who has done everything that's been asked of him today and more. He's had to put up with a lot, but if the seat is moving around that badly in the car, then it becomes an issue, I would think, Alan, of safety.
It's hard enough to change the gears, 5-speed transmission, with just the normal centrifugal forces that would throw you through those corners, as we've just seen. To have the seat moving as well, he's going to want to make sure that he doesn't over-rev the engine by missing a gear. But the worst part is just visually picking up the apexes, which you do condition yourself to over a period of laps, to be looking at them from a different angle every other lap.
And to maintain your concentration with that huge physical and mental strain.
And knowing that it's not your average driver behind you, coming up at fractions and seconds a lap. John Goss will have earned his money today.
So the pit crew ready in case Goss decides that the problem has become unbearable to the point that he's got to make a pit stop. But what a decision, Alan, to have to make, because he knows where Peter Brock is.
He wouldn't come in. I think short of the seat going out into the back seat and his feet losing touch with the pedals, he'd have to stay there and hope for the best. If he comes in, he loses. If he stays out there, he's got a chance of winning.
The Denny Hulme, Ray Smith Commodore entry from New Zealand, car 14, was in 13th position outright, but has now been retired from the race in the closing stages as John Goss comes towards the bottom of Conrod Straight.
Those plastic straps that are holding it in will never break. But, of course, they can't put the plastic straps through the floorboards, and that's where the movement is coming in and driving him crazy. But in terms of actually losing the seat, I think he's safe for another 8 laps.
That gap between John Goss and Peter Brock, maintaining at about 34 seconds. They would need something really unfortunate for John Goss to come in, and as Alan has already said, if the decision is up to the driver, John Goss will stay out there.
He's got his lights on, so obviously they've got no electrical problems. They can afford the luxury of running their lights and keeping the battery in a neutral charge situation, condition rather. So that's not a worry to him. He's not blowing any smoke. He's driving very smoothly. He isn't wasting any time. He's aware of the fact that he has to be efficient with his lap times. He can't afford to give anything away to Peter Brock.
34 seconds from John Goss back to Peter Brock, and 46 seconds from Goss back to the BMW car 21, Roberto Ravalia.
You can see him placing himself conservatively on the track. He's not taking any chances, and yet maximizing his lap time. If the seat was moving, this would be where it would be painful. Your whole body weight would be pushing onto the brake pedal every time, although his clutch foot would be able to hold him to a degree. But on the clutch, on the brake, through the gears, around the corner, in case it looks easy at home, I can assure you it isn't.
So John Goss heads down Conrod Straight again. Certainly has his problems, but he soldiered on for the last 35 minutes. The situation within the cockpit hasn't become any easier for Goss. It'll be a fitting tribute for Goss to pull out a win here in the 85 James Hardie Classic. A very, very talented driver. The only winner of the James Hardie Classic and, of course, the Australian Grand Prix. What a triumphant return to the big league for this very, very personable driver.
People could have said he could have been accused of being a little bit rusty after a year away from the wheel. He hasn't driven all year since attempting here last year with Tom Walkinshaw. But John's shown us that you don't forget your driving talents.
Well, I think I'd have to agree, because apart from last year's single run, it was only basic practice here at the Hardie for the race, and then of course the car didn't get off the line. And for him to be so long out of the saddle and under a lot of pressure to keep up the lap times that are needed in this category to make him a competitive driver, he's done one heck of a job.
Yes, I think he'll have Tom Walkinshaw's accolades at the end of the day. He's done his bit. And as happy as everyone was to see the Jaguar contingent arrive at Mount Panorama, great that the winning car is going to be shared by an Australian.
Peter Brock in 05, still placed second on the racetrack. Jimmy Richards at this stage placed fifth, a couple of laps down on Peter Brock. There's the gap between first and second. That's John Goss to Peter Brock, 33.4 seconds. And Richards has clung to the back of the bumper of the 05 car for the last 10 laps. Crowd still giving Peter a great reception on top of the mountain. And I think also John Goss will get a great reception too if he can lead Peter to the line. Here's Jim Richards pulling out. Just have a little look. There was no passing there, and nor was it intended.
I think Jim's just happy to be able to get the toe and stay in touch. He's not fooling around either. Neither one of them are.
Still an incredible performance from Commodore at the mountain.
You have to finish to win, Michael, and again another superb preparation by the Mobile Holden Dealer team. Dedicated team of fellows.
And regardless of what
run all day.
Regardless of what happens at the end of this day, Alan, you can look forward to better things next year. Talking to him the other day, he said he felt like he's been carrying a trailer around all year behind him. It's when new regulations for the Commodores come January, he feels he'll be even more competitive. He says, just watch me in 86.
Sure.
I think a few of the other teams would go away from this year's James Hardie and just think about how competitive the Holden V8 package just might be for 86 as well.
Yes, a lot of what-ifs in motor racing, but what if the Volvo had kept going? What if Dick Johnson hadn't had an oil cooler fracture? What if the BMW hadn't landed up in the sand trap? I think to the people that are witnessing the first of our Group A trend, this race is only going to get bigger and better.
I'm sure of that, Alan. So Brocky still under pressure to try and bring them back. There's the split that you can see if you know the Mount Panorama course. Johnny Goss up in the box at the top of your screen, going past towards Castrol Tower at Skyline, and here's Peter Brock just making his way to the top of the mountain. The gap probably still about the same, 33, maybe 32.95, the difference between the leader and the man who looks like being runner-up at this stage. But I'll tell you what, the spurt by Peter Brock has certainly given the mountain people plenty to cheer about for the last few laps.
Well, standing so close to the edge of the track, they can see when the drivers are really pouring it on, and that's what these two are doing.
We'll try and get
nothing to lose.
Sorry, Al. We'll try and get the Vortex radar trap on Peter Brock. That we'll call it the air-conditioned version this time.
Well, GM air conditioning's always been good, but this is carrying it to extremes.
One thing about it, to be able to keep a cool head in the situation. Peter Brock is able to do that quite comfortably at this racetrack.
I'm not so sure Mr. Chuck Chapman will be enjoying our humor so much.
I'm just wondering whether they'll homologate the 86 cars without windscreens. They've picked up something. Here's our Vortex radar check down Conrod Straight. Brocky, 252.66 kilometres an hour.
Yes, that's still moving. From memory, we were only doing around 255, 256 last year. So these cars are not that much slower.
We're certainly coming up for a closer finish than Peter enjoyed, the breaking out the celebrations down in the Mobile Commodore garage. And of course, I think that Jaguar Rover Dealers Australia would certainly be doing the same, as Johnny Goss goes to the top of the mountain, heading up towards the cutting. What a return for Gossie.
You can see him moving around in the seat there. The other difficult thing for him would be, as soon as that seat shifts, the tendency would be to grab the steering wheel a little bit harder to secure his position, and then it may force a tug on the wheel that he didn't mean to make.
Yes, exactly.
Last gap we had was 31s, coming down all the time, down now to almost 29 seconds.
Now with just 4 laps to go, I don't think John will be making any, excuse me, any mistakes.
That was almost a repeat of the qualifier yesterday.
Yes, it was. He had a bad moment there and almost had a crash. That's a tricky part of the circuit. This is no Sunday afternoon chicken run, Michael. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it.
Gossie out of Valvoline, heading now on to Conrod Straight.
He's not missing any gear changes there. He wants that V12 to honk all the way down the straight.
What a celebration tonight.
Johnny Goss, last one in 1974 with Kevin Bartlett. That was his only win. That was in a Falcon GT. He spent many of his Bathurst races in Falcons. Last few in Jaguars. Likes the big cars.
He's always had a memorable win here. Reigning the first time and now no seat. I'm sure we'll hear all about it.
Yep. 3 circuits at Mount Panorama still remain for Johnny Goss. Steve Masterton trailing him up the hill towards the right-hander at GTX. And they would almost be within champagne popping time in the Jaguar camp at this stage. Jimmy Richards. Peter Brock looking for him heading towards the pit area.
Well, he's in the pits.
And after an absolute sensational run, Brock gesturing to mechanics what the problem is. And that now will mean Roberto Ravaglia will move into second with only a few laps remaining. And I think I heard someone shout, "Forget it." End of Conrod, something has gone complete. Nothing. Neil Crompton.
Yes, Mike, standing down here at the moment alongside the Brock car, it is a timing chain failure, the same problem that has afflicted these cars in the last couple of meetings this season. And when they lifted the bonnet, I could see the top off the distributor cap as well. So the fire's gone out on the Mobile Holden Dealer Team Challenge. Peter Brock, a very disappointed man after what must surely have been the drive of season 1985 to come back from so far down. Brocky, very, very bad luck.
That's disappointing. I'm not too sure just what did happen there, but
the boys are saying it was,
probably.
Yeah, they were saying it was timing chain.
Just near the end of Conrod.
Yeah, mate, that is so disappointing. I'm sure you must be just absolutely, well, annihilated after that one. You drove through the field. We hadn't written you off, but we thought that you wouldn't recover from so far down this morning.
We went down this morning. We hadn't gone down too far this morning, I don't think, have we? I didn't have any problems. Off the grid? Oh, that's nothing.
Righto. Peter Brock not in the best of talkative moods. We'll let him get back to it. Back to you, Mike.
The interviewer's delight.
Well, that's one very rare occasion when you haven't seen a Brockmobile crossing the line when the flag goes down here.
2 laps to go. And the Jag supporters, they're delighted. The Brock car is being pushed along the pits, still receiving a tremendous cheer from the crowd along pit straight. He gave it every shot. Timing chain going, and Peter Brock will not finish in the top 3 in this year's James Hardy 1000. Jaguar bringing class to the mountain.
Oh, class, yes.
Well, in Johnny Goss's case, it might be a bit of class.
Yeah. Some may have other descriptions. Nevertheless, to his credit, he's soldiered on, and the car has performed well enough to stay at the head of this field for a goodly part of the day.
So Roberto Ravaglia moves to second with still a couple of laps remaining in this year's great race. And I think the spectators will now turn their allegiance and say at least an Aussie won.
Yes, of course. And John can just take that.
John will be able to build on that just a little.
He can build on that. And he'll be breathing a little easier now, knowing that he's got a bigger gap back to the Bob Jane BMW, and won't have to take any chances at all now. He can cruise it in. If cruising at 255 or 260K is cruising for anybody on a Sunday afternoon, that's what this XJS Jaguar Tom Walkinshaw prepared vehicle is going to do.
Something of a mixed day for Tom, really. I'm sure that he would have liked to have been at the wheel of the winning car, but at least it's one of his team, which looks like taking the checkered flag, and Tom himself will probably come in third.
The bank don't check what numbers on the payment that goes in. They'll be happy to see it.
And so will Armin Hahn, of course, who's been John Goss's co-driver today. Johnny Goss has been at it for long enough. He started racing when he was 19 and he's now 42. So after 23 years at the top, it's not too much to expect to pick up a second Bathurst win. Johnny's last lap. Last time up Mountain Straight for John Goss.
Well, Gossie knows the feeling. He's been there before, and it must be an incredible feeling to know that you've driven so far. And
well, actually, Mikey hasn't been in the car at the finish line. In '74, he was watching Kevin Bartlett bring it through the rain. This is his first genuine behind the wheel, taking the checkered flag, and it'll be a highlight of his career, one thing he'll never forget.
I bet they could take the seat out and he'd drive it from the glove box for the last half lap.
Yes, he will.
But Johnny Goss, I think you will find, will get a tremendous reception from the mountain, where all the Commodore followers have just become Jag converts.
And good on JRA management in conjunction with Tom Walkinshaw for giving John a drive. It would have been easy to discount earlier failures and say, well, let's get on with a better show. They're to be congratulated, and he's shown them that he's as good as the rest, and good on him for everyone in Australia, I'm sure, would want me to say that.
You're right there, Alan, coming down through the dipper at Nissan, and all giving John Goss a marvellous reception as he pokes the number 10 car down to the exit of Valvoline Corner, and this the final lap of the 85 James Hardy 1000. The pressure is now off his shoulders, although he might be loose in the seat.
He took a fairly easy line out of there. I think
He was. I was worried. I thought, golly, I was only going to say the only thing that could stop him now would be an ignition failure, a bit like my voice failure here at the moment. But no, he's still on the go. I think he's just taking it super carefully.
Well, here he comes, Johnny Goss, in car number 10, the JRA Jaguar, just wanting to make sure that all goes well for the final quarter, or to say another 2 Ks to the end of Conrod Straight. And look what he's waiting for. Would you believe this? The man who instituted the 1-2.
Is he a pro?
Johnny Goss is going to engineer the 1-2 JRA Jaguar finish to Australia's great race. Chalk up 1. John Goss, the winner of the James Hardy Classic for 1985. Second place will go to Roberto Ravaglia, and third place, after all those problems, will go to Tommy Walkinshaw. So a Jag 1-3.
Tremendous.
It is really tremendous.
A credit to the team. Mechanics worked hard for 3 or 4 days. Just super bad luck that put a rock through a headlight on Jeff Allen's number 9 car.
Yes, they're going to take an extra lap.
Well, I think they deserve it. We won't begrudge them that one, Michael.
Not at all. And that must feel like the happiest lap of his life for John Goss and Tom Walkinshaw. 3 cars started, as we mentioned before. 2 have finished, first and third. Roberto Ravaglia goes across the line to lock up his second placing.
And a very good finish for them.
An excellent finish, and full marks to Bob Jane and his Team Art Enterprises for their faith in the great race of 85, for flying in the Schnitzer 635 car and bringing out Roberto Ravaglia. And, of course, Johnny Cicotto. So to the top of the mountain on the cool-off lap.
Well, it's thumbs up for Gossi. The crowd know who's behind them.
Yes, a great reception over the top of Mount Panorama, coming down to Skyline.
Well, the only problem JRA will have next week is probably not enough Jaguars in the compound to sell.
And Alan, I think you're quite right. So, Johnny Goss of Australia in an English-built Jaguar wins the 85 great race. To the tower and to Gary Wilkinson.
The man who's going to have the last laugh, because they said when he first bought an XJS Jaguar here that he couldn't do it. The man who won here last in 1974. We're trying to drag him through the door at this moment. A garland being made ready for the man of the mountain. Come on, Johnny Goss. What are you doing? Again, John Goss. The Festival Queen, Karen McKenzie. And if you're wondering where the champagne cork is, it's stuck in the bottle. But we'll get it to you in a moment, John Goss. And before we get you to say anything, a moment to regain your breath. I want to introduce, first of all, the chairman of James Hardy Industries, Mr. John Reid.
My pleasure to congratulate John Goss on a wonderful win, and I want to introduce the Honourable Gerald Lascelles to present the trophy. I'm going to give this to you in 1 second. Well done. Thank you, Gerald. Really great victory for Jaguar, and a tremendous drive by the people who came behind them.
Armin Hahn from West Germany, Johnny Goss's co-driver, and of course coming out onto the dais now, John Goss and Armin Hahn acknowledging their victory. And John Goss is calling on the Jaguar team leader, Tom Walkinshaw, and we'll have him here with us in just a moment. But firstly, John Goss, I want to have a word with you. Armin Hahn, come in here as well. Johnny,
Thanks, Gerald. Thanks, Gary.
If that doesn't answer any critics, nothing ever will.
I want to try and take this opportunity to say something. It's a long time since I've had an opportunity to drive in motor racing anywhere in the world in a competitive car. And I think that I only hope that you, my fans, can take the introduction of Group A and work with it. I want to see Holden's win, and I want to see Ford's win. But Jaguar did it this time, and I'm very, very grateful that they gave me the opportunity. I want to call on Tom to come forward and say a couple of words on behalf of the company and his team.
Tom Walkinshaw, battling great difficulties today and the race leader for so much of the event, coming home in third place, the two Jags being split, of course, by the Roberto Ravaglia, Johnny Cicotto BMW. We'll have them here with us in a moment. But Tom Walkinshaw, you said you were coming here to win, and win you did. Maybe things didn't work out quite as they planned, but the checkered flag was a sweet sight for Johnny Goss, for sure.
Well, I'm really pleased for John because he's had a difficult 2 or 3 years. But I'm really happy for all the fans here who have given us such a fantastic welcome, and I hope they've enjoyed the race that we put on for them. Thank you.
Well, there's a great souvenir from Tom Walkinshaw, and the champagne. At last, the cork has been dislodged. Stand by for a shower. Come on, Johnny Goss. Get your hands around the bottle. I don't know how you've got the strength left to hold it up. Johnny Goss and Armin Hahn, the James Hardy 1000 winners for 1985. And remember that John Goss had to drive the last half of the race by the seat of his pants because the seat, the driver's seat in the car, had broken loose.
I made it a brief point a minute ago, but I want to run over it again. Neil Johnson is here from Jaguar Cars today. He's come halfway around the world to see what Bathurst is all about, and that includes seeing what the support's all about. Give the British and European teams and companies your support. I can assure you, as an Australian, it's one of the best teams I could ever have dreamed of working for. And that doesn't take anything away from Peter Brock and all the other guys here, Dick Johnson and Alan Grice, that have done a good job under difficult circumstances with a new car. But we're very happy today, and thanks again to the TWR crew and Jaguar, JRA.
A brief word, ladies and gentlemen, from John's co-driver, Armin Hahn. Of course, we saw him here last year driving a Rover to win the Group A category last year in the James Hardy 1000, and here he is again this year in the full Group A international competition, and again a winner.
Thanks, mate. That's my greatest win I've ever done. I've won Spa, everything, but that's my greatest win I've ever done. Thanks, mate.
Armin Hahn and John Goss. Ladies and gentlemen, Win Percy, co-driver with Tom Walkinshaw in the number 8 Jaguar, which finished third. Win, I know you love this circuit. You've told me so many times the last several days. Victory unfortunately eluded you, but it certainly went to the team.
Well, it's a fantastic day for us. All I can say is thank you very much for the encouragement you've given us. It was greater than we expected. Thank you.
Jaguar won 3 on the mountain in 1985, and we'll be back in a moment with the second place getters in this year's great race, the Bob Jane T-Marts BMW crew, Roberto Ravaglia and Johnny Cicotto. With Greg Hansford, a mighty race, and you were punching it into the top 10 there through most of the day.
Well, we were actually. We even got a good start. I think we were about 10th on the end of the first lap, and I couldn't believe that. But the car did run very well, and I must say that Greg did a fabulous job when he was in the car. It was good, and I'd like to thank Alpha for the car, and obviously the dealers. Here's Greg. Ignis, and also Montrose Wines are our major sponsors. It's great to come up here. I think I was up here more or less much the same time as Gossy last time, so it's been a long time between drinks, having a drink. Thanks very much, and a great drive.
Colin Bond. And co-driver driver Greg Hansford, and I don't think a lot of people realise that Greg is still the 350cc motorcycle record holder here at Mount Panorama.
Telling everybody how old I am, Gary. It's 1981. I'd just like to thank Colin again for having me drive the car with him, and Alfa Romeo for backing up his...
Thank you very much, Greg Hansford. Now, fighting his way through the congestion here, John Smith, the Toyota Corolla driver, the under 2-litre winner in the James Hardy 1000 for 1985. Smithy, they're little cars, but they go by like smoke, and consistency is the key, and you've taken the prize.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, that's the truth as well. The Toyota cars are legend in reliability, and I think that's what it's all about in 2-litre racing. And we had to wring its neck today, and I'm glad that it came out on top. So my particular thanks to AMI Toyota for supplying such a good little car, and particularly to Tony Niavani and the crew for preparing it. Obviously, it was the best car all day as far as reliability goes in the 2-litre class, and we came home first.
Thank you very much, John Smith. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting a little crowded up here on the balcony, and I think they all deserve another big hand. John Goss, Armin Hahn, Roberto Ravaglia, Johnny Cicotto, Tom Walkinshaw, Win Percy, Colin Bond, Greg Hansford, John Smith. All of them heroes. Oh! John Goss, the king of Mount Panorama for 1985. A welcome return to the victory list. Driving the big British Jaguar. And we've got a lot more to come. That concludes the official presentation, ladies and gentlemen. The trophy is standing down here, neglected at my feet, but I see Armin Hahn has got his eye. He's not going to let Johnny Goss walk away without it. The James Hardy 1000 trophy for 1985. As the victorious drivers leave the dais, I hope you had a good afternoon, and I'm going back now to Mike Raymond.
He's second in what must have been one of the best drives of the day. Johnny Cicotto, former world motorcycle champion, great drive.
Thank you very much.
In doing so, Johnny, you take the award here in Australia for what we call Rookie of the Year, which is worth $2,000, so congratulations to you.
Thank you. I'm very glad about that, and I'm very happy about finishing second in this race. I think it's a very hard race to finish, and we are very happy.
Very, very pleased indeed. Did you think that you would finish as well as you have?
Well, of course, we started to finish and to finish in the first places, and so we got what we wanted. I mean, it's not easy, but it's okay.
And it's not a solo job, because the man who partnered you very effectively indeed, Roberto Ravaglia. Congratulations, Roberto. Very, very well done.
Thank you very much.
Roberto doesn't speak much English, so these fellows take the Rookie of the Year award for 1985, second overall. Here's Gary Wilkinson.
So I've got Kent Bagent here. Of course, he was one of the big contingent with his co-driver, Neil Lowe from New Zealand. And they were the first Kiwis to finish and had a lot happier tale to tell than most of the other visitors from across the Tasman.
Well, it was certainly an eventful day. An eventful day, I think, for everybody. It certainly was for us. We're certainly glad to be here, first Kiwi team home. It wasn't without events for us. We had a slipping clutch for the last 30 laps, and Neil had to drive like he had an egg under his foot for the last part, so that's why we slowed down a little bit in the end.
Neil, we haven't seen as much of you over here in the past season as we have of Neil, but obviously you enjoy coming here. You must have enjoyed today's race.
Yes, I generally partner Kent in the long distance races. He does all the sprint races, and I need to get to sit in the car either to set it up for the long distance races or to partner him for them.
Neil Lowe and Kent Bagent from New Zealand finishing fifth outright today in their BMW in today's James Hardy 1000. Neil Lowe, who finished fifth in his BMW from New Zealand. Robbie Francevic, I see, is here. And, of course, he led the Kiwi charge with his turbo-charged Volvo. And in the early stages of the race, he was the man who really made the chase after the Jaguars. But, Robbie, you're still smiling.
Well, of course I have. I had a wonderful year in Australia, and, you know, the public have been fantastic to me. So have you people, and I just hope that Mark sees the value and coming back next year, because I'd love to race again next year.
You had a chance to be a spectator through the closing stages of the race. Things certainly happened in a hurry, didn't they?
It was unbelievable. At the end of the race, I broke down at McPhillamy, and I got out with about 2,000 drunks attacking me. I was about 10 feet in the air, getting covered in beer and hip hip hooray, and they attacked the car, and it was a wild 15 minutes.
I know you've been a fierce competitor with Peter Brock through the year, but you must have felt for him in those last couple of laps when he looked like he had a chance to snatch the prize. He was closing, and then good night.
Well, as I said all year, that I think I've always said it, that I've rated Peter as Australia's best and greatest, and he's done a fabulous job in a car that is got a lot to come.
See you next season?
I hope so.
Robbie Francovic from New Zealand. Well, 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 well. The BMW boys are still here and grinning despite all the mishaps, Tony.
Yeah, oh, well, it's just a bit of bad luck. It's not very often Jim slides off the track, and apparently he was following a Commodore that dumped a heap of oil, and there was no flags. He was just the first one on the scene, and that's what's happened.
It's been a great experience, the first year of full Group A racing.
Oh, it's fantastic. You know, for a while there we looked like we were going to get right back up again, and then looked like Brock was going to win. And, it's just absolutely fantastic.
Tony Longhurst, you've had some pretty good drives over the last year or two. You've got an awful lot of talent, but I guess you must thank yourself for a little bit of luck as well. You've picked up some real plums, haven't you?
Oh, I don't know about so much luck. I just had a good look at the JPS team, and I knew I had to get in with someone that could teach me, and Frank Gardner is just unbelievable what he's taught me in the last year. And you know, I've gone from being probably 10 seconds lap slower than Jim a year ago, and now I'm within striking distance, 1 or 2 seconds slower.
Obviously they had great faith in you.
Yeah, obviously, but you know, you need the cars and you need someone to teach you what to do, and I'm just so happy to be involved with JPS BMW.
Tony Longhurst, co-driver with Jim Richards in the #1 BMW today. Tony, better luck next year at Mount Panorama. Neil Crompton, please come in here. We're quickly running out of telecast time, and I don't know about you, but I'm getting to the stage where I need a drink.
That's ditto. I'm so worn out from running up and down that pit lane. In fact, I just sprinted up to get Tony, and I can barely even talk to you. I'm so out of condition. What a great race. What can you say? 163 laps of dynamite.
OK, let's take you back now to Mike Raymond.